everyone. My name is Pedro Nunes. I am an etoro popular investor, also known as Pedro Nunes, and this is my monthly video, which I call Investment Dossier. In this video, I will speak about the present conditions of the market, of the performance of the portfolio, and the present portfolio strategy. First, I will speak about the present moment of the market. In the beginning of October, the main US index, the S&P 500, this is the SPY, it's a S&P 500 ETF, has recovered based on the perspective that the inflation had topped and that the Fed would increase less the interest rates. In terms of technical levels, the S&P 500 crossed briefly the 200-day moving average and is at the present moment somewhere between the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average, trying to guess what direction it will take. In terms of the portfolio performance, during October, the performance were a little bit better, more or less 1% better than the S&P 500. Now it's a little bit less than the S&P 500, but it's very close, despite the portfolio having distinct characteristics of the S&P 500. Because in one way, as some protective measures, like commodities, like bonds, but in other way, it has more tech stocks. So in some ways, it also resembles with some of the Nasdaq stocks. But one thing is for sure, during drawdowns, the portfolio has a very good performance. And since it has a 10% cash reserve, when the portfolio goes up, it tends not to match the S&P 500, of course, depending on the individual stock's performance. But speaking about what is more important, which is the strategy for the future, the strategy that I developed in the beginning of the year, it's a little bit different than before. During 2020 and 2021, I had a more protective strategy, so the portfolio had a consistent gains, about 10%, but risking less than the performance of the market. In the beginning of 2022, I changed my strategy in order to compete with the market, and the benchmark here is the S&P 500 index. The performance is very similar to the index, and the strategy for the future will be a long-term perspective. What I am doing is trying to choose during this bear market good companies that can give the portfolio good returns in a long-term perspective. We have still about 10% in cash, and what I will do, despite the volatility that may occur, maybe the market will test 50-day moving average, but the strategy will be to continue to choose good companies in a perspective of long-term, companies that are at the moment and that will continue to give good results. This is the strategy, and I feel each day more and more confident that the portfolio must be concentrated in terms of long-term investing. As we see, we have some of the important names of the present, and I think they will continue in the future, like Google, like Apple, but we also have companies that I think that will have a good performance in the long term, like BioNTech, health company, which is trying to make a special contribution in terms of cancer. This company has very good results in terms of COVID, but they have a strategy to fight complex diseases, namely cancer, and I think that in the long term they can have good results. So very stable names, very good companies that are big names today, but that I think they will continue to be big names in the medium to long term perspective. This was my December investment dossier. I hope to see you again in the beginning of the year.